There are thousands of people in Kentucky struggling with drug addiction and who are in recovery. WKYT's investigations team has made the drug epidemic a focus for stories. Tonight, one woman who nearly lost her life and family to drugs sends a message of hope. Miranda Combs has her story.
We cover stories, not always knowing the full story.
She couldn't, walk around by herself. She couldn't stop drinking.
Details sometimes come later and unexpectedly, like this fire last November. Patricia Washington was killed.
I believe that if she was not actively drinking, that numerous things could have stopped that fire. But the result was that the house caught fire and she did not make it out.
This is her daughter, Rachel.
She lived there for a long time, and I used drugs while I was there.
She continued her mother's addiction.
It's all just about sharing my experience.
Not with alcohol, but drugs. Started with pain pills and went on for 19 years.
I was doing the really hard stuff. I was doing anything that you could think of that you would never want to see in your family.
She sat down with us not for pity, but for understanding. And to know how low she was, she told us about the day her 6-year-old found her close to death in a bathroom.
We were actually supposed to go to Walmart to get her a bicycle. And I guess she was knocking on the door trying to get me to open it. And I had been in there, using my drugs because I needed one more before we left. And I wasn't responding, and so she went and got a coat hanger and unlocked my door and found me.
Emergency responders showed up minutes later.
The only thing that I remember is before waking up in the ambulance was I heard somebody say, she's been gone for 20 minutes, let's get her out of here.
Our investigations team has done stories on Narcan or the generic naloxone. It will reverse an opiate overdose. But we've never heard what it feels like to get the life-saving drug.
I woke up like gasping for breath, like trying to rip tubes out of me, like trying to get up. It's like an adrenaline pump all of a sudden, like go, like what's the danger?
She left the hospital as soon as she could and went home and finished the drugs still in the bathroom.
And I kind of, just looked at it and I was like, well, you know what, I'll just do less this time and it'll be okay.
Her daughter was taken after that.
She, rightfully so, got taken away from me at the age of 6.
Lexington Fire told us it's not uncommon for children to be the ones that find parents overdosed.
And I think the reason why it ends up being our children is because, man, we love our children. But, I loved her to death. I didn't understand what I was doing to her.
It would still be years later before jail would be her ultimate detox and her recovery would begin, which is the other reason she sat down with us, to give others suffering hope.
They're not bad people. I was not a bad person. I was just sick.
She says for her, support saved her. Rehab taught her to lean on others. Ironically, her mother's house is in its own rehab now. The scars of the fire are still there, but new life is being built, much like hers.
It's exhausting. There's so much that I can't even remember, but I wouldn't trade any of it. I wouldn't be who I am now, and I kind of like myself. I like the fact that I can listen to people now. I like the fact that, I can be a mother to my daughter.
She's been sober now since October of 2013. She does get time with her daughter. She says her daughter doesn't remember much about the days before she was taken away, but Washington says she's ready to answer any questions when they do come up.
Very powerful. Many times stories that you do come out of other stories that you've covered. You were talking to EMTs about, unfortunately, how often kids really do find their parents like this.
Or parents find their children like this, and they wanted to get across the point that there is a ripple effect of suffering when it comes to these families dealing with addiction.
She didn't seem like she was nervous when she was talking to you.
No, and we talked for 2 hours. It was almost like a relief for her to tell her story.
Miranda, thank you.